Okay, everybody, welcome to the City of Cross Lake Final Assessment Hearing, Monday, July 8th. It's 5:30 p.m. Who's going to start this, Phil? Are you going to take it?
I can start off and give information and then open up to public input.
Okay.
Okay. TJ, you ready? Thank you for attending. My name is Phil Martin. I'm the city engineer. What this is, as the mayor has indicated, this is the public hearing for the proposed assessment to Daggett Pine Road. I have a packet which you should have been able to grab when you walked in. I'm just going to go through it quickly, and then ultimately we'll take your input regarding this proposed assessment. First thing is what we're going to present. We're just going to go in this order, but again, we're going to give you some background information. We're going to tell you what the improvement was, the scope and the cost, how the city goes about funding part of this improvement, how we determine what we think the market value benefit is, how we apply that, and then we get your input. So standard procedure is I'll talk and I'll try and talk clearly and quickly, and then you can come up and give your input. So the background of this, essentially this is part of a 5-year road improvement plan that the city started. So for a number of years, the city was trying to go forward with some road improvements, but finding difficulty in what approach they want to take, and the costs associated with the improvements. So what we did is we went together, we looked at the condition of the roads, and we adopted a strategy that was really trying to save what still had pavement benefit or preservation. So what the city did for this road improvement plan is we rated every road pavement surface that is the city's, so they are public. Now there are some roads out there that are not the city's, they're private roads. The city does nothing to maintain those. Based on the condition of the pavement, we rated them and we gave a priority. And some of those that were considered to be past having a preservable pavement weren't even considered. Those are more costly reconstruction improvements, such as reconstruction, full depth reclamation, or a mill and overlay. Mill and overlay is still not bad, but it's kind of in that window where we just can't do the seal coat. And I don't know if many of you are familiar with the seal coat. Around town, you saw the aggregate chip that they put oil down and they put the chip down. It's very a nuisance driving over it until they sweep it and then put the second coat of oil on it, and that is the least costly approach. That's like painting your wood siding. If you don't paint your wood siding over time, it goes beyond just painting, it goes into replacement. So the city began this, they decided to fund this through a bond sale, and they used Minnesota Statute 475. That allows cities to do road reconstruction and bituminous overlays and sell bonds for it. They can assess part of that improvement up to the benefit of what that improvement does to the property. And that's where you probably disagree with what we think. And that's fine, because that's what this process is to get your input. So again, the pavement plan was prioritizing pavement preservation, chip sealing, and mill and overlay, not considering full depth reclamation, not considering overall outright reconstruction. We tried to target a cost of about doing $1 million a year over the next 5 years. We had a public hearing on this on October 23. We had a public hearing. The city council took input, and they adopted the plan. And then we proceeded to do year 1, which was 12 miles of chip seal and about 2 miles of mill and overlay. With the county. We partnered with the county, and the reason we did that is that alone the city could do a project, but it would be small potatoes, if you will, compared to doing a county-wide project where the county is taking in communities like Crosby, Breezy Point, Pequot Lakes, Cross Lake, and townships, getting a larger project so we get a better economy of scale cost. That work has been done, essentially. You know, Daggett Pine Road was mill and overlaid, it was striped, we replaced the mailboxes. And then the chip seal is in process right now. I see the chip is down. I know over by where I live, which is Pequot Lakes, County Road 11 just got the fog seal or the last layer of oil. So it's coming this way. I don't know when. I assume it's weather dependent. When you do the oil, you sort of need dry for a period of time, and we haven't always had dry for a significant period of time. Improvement scope and cost. So this project, the improvement is on Daggett Pine Road, and it's a bituminous mill and overlay and the replacement of swing-type mailbox posts. The city does that whenever we get the opportunity to do an improvement. I know everyone has their desire to have their mailbox up there. We run into a situation where we get heavy snow and we plow and we knock somebody's mailbox over, or if we do tight plowing and we can't get under their mailbox all the time, the swing arms move, so we make that replacement as well. The scope is from Ox Lake Landing to Dream Island Road. That's the area that was milled and overlay. The total project cost is estimated to be $265,000. I say estimated because we haven't got the final numbers in on the project from the county. But I think 265 is the right spot. Improvement assessment. So what the city is doing is they're proposing to assess a portion of the project. This is historically what the city has done in the past. They have assessed for reconstruction, full depth reclamation, and they also consider mill and overlay as an assessment improvement. The chip seal or the crack sealing or the pavement patching, that is a maintenance, and the city does not assess for that. They take care of that. So again, this is, if Daggett Pine Road was a mill and over, it had been a chip seal, there would not be an assessment. But it was a mill and overlay, and therefore it is assessed. City follows Statute 429, which prescribes steps to do this. We're having the public hearing for the final assessment. We'll get later on in here, you'll get the opportunity to object if you would like to object. The purpose of the objecting is you are stating your intent to reserve your right to appeal. You can appeal then to district court. But if you don't make a written objection at this meeting or prior to this meeting, and written is key, even if it's on the back of a napkin, you will lose your right to appeal to district court. So it's an important step, and I'll talk more about that. The city ordinance 358 says that the city does an assessment to each parcel at a rate that does not exceed the market value benefit. Market value benefit is subjective depending on where you're sitting. The city understands that. They hire a company to come in and do an opinion of market value benefit analysis. This is an independent group. The city does pay them. They hire them to do their work. They get a report. Based on that report, they take that information and they discuss what's, in their estimation, the spot to be to assess. So with assessment payments, always a question. You can pay the assessment off at no interest within 30 days after the assessment is adopted. Or you can do it over time. And to give you a little background, the city last assessed in 2022. We did full depth reclamation of Rushmore Boulevard, Wild Wind Ranch Road, and Birch Narrows. That was assessed $4,000 per parcel, and the city chose to spread that over a period of 15 years at 5% interest rate. So two options. If the city goes forward and adopts an assessment, you have 30 days to pay it without interest, or you can pay it off annually. Improvement assessment. This is an important part to know your rights as it relates to this. Appeal. Again, I'm just going to read this. No appeal to district court may be taken as to the amount of an assessment unless a written objection signed by the affected property owner is filed with the municipal clerk prior to the assessment hearing or presented to the presiding officer at the hearing. Again, if you didn't have anything written and you want to reserve that right, we will take it on a back of a napkin. need your name, need to know what your address is, and you need to say you object to the assessment. Deferment. So the council may, in its discretion, defer the payment of this special assessment for any homestead property owned by a person 65 years of age or older, one retired by virtue of a permanent and total disability, or a member of the National Guard or other reserves ordered to active military service for whom it would be a hardship to make the payments. I don't know if we've had any requests for deferments at this point, and that can still happen, but note, those are some criteria. They're laid out by the statute 429 regarding deferment. So market value benefit. This is one of the pieces we discussed, because probably a lot of questions are, how did you figure out what you're assessing me? So we had an opinion of market benefit analysis done by Nagel Appraisal Incorporated. They did that in January 28th of 2024. They give us a range, and below is the range they gave us. So the first column is really kind of what we had for parcels out there. We had single-family residential, commercial, vacant residential of varying lot sizes. We had religious of varying lot size, public of varying lot size, mobile home community, and then we had townhome and condominium parcels. They further gave us a benefit classification rate based on whether you were on, the parcel was on the lake or not on a lake. This was, from the report, the basis for what we, as a city, looked at in trying to determine what we felt was the benefit for properties. This information can be made available, the actual report, if you'd like to read it. It might actually, I don't know if it's in a past minutes or anything like that, but certainly I can pull it out and you can read it if you'd like. So the market value benefit assessment that the city is proposing, and you should have gotten an idea of what the city was proposing for your parcel in the mail. It's based on the market value benefit, it's based on what the improvement was, and it's based on what the city has historically done. So the primary benefit refers to is the parcel located adjacent to Daggett Pine Road. And in that situation, parcels that were greater than or equal to 20 acres, we had a few of those, the city proposed an assessment of $3,500 for that parcel. Adjacent parcels that were less than 20 acres, we proposed an assessment of $2,000. Now, if you go back to that market benefit table prior, you'll see that a lot of single-family residential, whether it was lake or non-lake, was somewhere between $1,500 and $3,500. So the city's tried to stay on the low end, which is, again, consistent historically with what they've done. They try and stay on the low end of the range. Also in there was $500 for adjacent parcel, townhome, and condominium. The townhome and condominiums are actually broken out into individual parcels within that. So the appraised benefit range there was $500 to $1,000 per townhome or condominium parcel. Secondary benefit. This is historically what the city has done as well. When there are properties that directly access to Daggett Pine Road, in this case, or a city street, but they're coming off of a private street, or they're like a back lot with an easement to the road, the city does assess for a secondary benefit. In this case, it's $1,000 is what their proposed assessment is for those secondary benefits. The $1,000 is half of the primary. This is consistent with what was done in 2022 on Birch Narrows when we had a number of parcels at the end of the road. They used Birch Narrows to get to their property and to leave their property. They were assessed half of the primary, which was $4,000. They were assessed $2,000. So the assessment proposed totals $157,500. We are looking at assessing for 105 parcels in total between primary and secondary benefit. And as just an example, because this has not been decided by the city council, but $2,000 assessment, if you assume the city adopted the terms of 15-year at 5%, would amount to $192.68 per year. Again, you can do the math. If you were a secondary, you're half that much. If you're a larger parcel, you're more than that. That's the background that I was intending to present to you. So the purpose of this public hearing is to get your input and allow you an opportunity to provide input for the city council as they decide on the proposed assessment that's being considered. So again, what we ask you to do for the procedure is come up, state your name and your address, and then provide your input. So we will try and answer questions as we can. We might not know every answer. And we understand that sometimes what you have to say aren't questions, but they're more just statements for us to hear. But with that, we're ready for the public input.
Before we take public input, we got 3 letters here we're going to read to you that are absentee people. Sandy, can you go ahead?
Sure. This is a letter from Trish Doty, who lives on Moen Beach Trail. She says, I am unable to attend the public hearing regarding the proposed assessment for Daggett Pine Road improvements. Please accept and consider this email as my official comments. As a property owner on Moen Beach Trail, a private road, we receive no services from the city for maintenance or improvements to our road. We must pay for this out of pocket. While we utilize Daggett Pine Road to access our road, so do the owners on Wilderness Trail, Dream Island Road, Waterwood Court, Deer Ridge Drive, and Miller Road. But it is my understanding these owners will not be assessed. The rationale I was provided by the city clerk was that these homeowners will be assessed when their roads are resurfaced. While I understand the rationale of assessing these owners when their own road is done, I do not believe that should equate to assessing the Moen Beach owners now just because it is the only time you can assess them. The operative words in your rationale are those homeowners will be assessed when their roads are done. Our road will never be done by the city. And again, excuse me, I reiterate, we must pay out of pocket for our maintenance and improvements. We should not be treated differently than the other homeowners above. You can assess us in the future when and if you ever do improvements to Moen Beach Trail. I totally understand the need for funding general road maintenance and believe the property taxes I pay should cover that. Based on my property tax statements, each year going back to 2022, 32% of my property taxes went to the city of Cross Lake. And looking at the 2024 budget, online from 11/15/2023, 65% of the city's general property tax revenues went to the Public Works Department line item. I believe this amount covers the maintenance and services I enjoy while driving on Daggett Pine Road or any of the other city roads, because none of it goes to Moen Beach Trail. Over 70,000 people per year access the community center by driving on Daggett Pine Road, and they are not assessed for using that road. I see Daggett Pine Road in the same way for Moen Beach Trail owners. It is a public road that gets us to where we want to go, and we pay for its maintenance through our property taxes. I would also like to note that if this assessment is somehow approved, the proposed dollar amount does not seem like an equitable split. I understand it was based on the sizes of the properties that border Daggett Pine Road. The great majority of the single-family properties being assessed fully border Daggett Pine Road, and the mode assessment is $2,000. The largest assessment is $3,500 for a 39-acre property, yet the Moen Beach Trail owners have a singular driveway with access to Daggett Pine Road and a combined acreage of far less than 39 acres, and yet we are being assessed $1,000 each for a cumulative assessment of far more than $3,500. It would seem to me that the $1,000 assessment should be divided equally among the Moen Beach Trail owners rather than $1,000 each. To be clear, though, I do not think Moen Beach Trail owners should be assessed at all. Thank you for your consideration, Patricia Doty.
Okay, and I've got one from Frank E. Marshall from Lonsdale, Minnesota. In evaluating the proposed assessment notice that was published in the Echo Journal on June 12, 2024 and June 19, 2024, and the notice of hearing on the proposed assessment to Daggett Pine Road improvements I received via U.S. Post Office dated May 30th, I object to the total sum of $3,500 for parcel number I am unable to attend the July 8th meeting, 2024 meeting to object in person, and this letter is to serve as my objection in writing. He's got 11 points here. Point number 1, the total assessment you stated is $157,500. I would like to know how was this determined and how was the assessment amount per landowner determined? What about Dream Island landowners? Are they being assessed as well, and if so, how much? Number 2, with so much construction happening along the lakes, there has been very large machinery driving up and down the road well over the weight limits and the road was intended for. I'm sure this has been damage to the road. Did they have permits, and are the permits published somewhere? Wouldn't those people be the ones liable for the road repairs? Or shouldn't the city be liable for it if they are the ones issuing the permits, knowing full well the road isn't rated for the heavy equipment? Point number 3, why weren't the landowners notified in writing indicating the road would be repaired at the landowner's expense? Point number 4, it also was not disclosed that the total cost of the road repair was. So what was it? Number 5, I pay taxes, and isn't a portion of my tax money supposed to be used for the road improvement? Number 6, I have worked construction for over 30 years, and in my opinion, Daggett Pine Road did not require milling and resurfacing. Who made this decision, and why was it made? Shouldn't this have been voted on? Number 7, is this how Cross Lake pays for all road repairs? Number 8, what was the road rated for prior to the repairs? What is it currently rated for? When I asked the current city administrator over the phone, he didn't know what the road was rated for. Shouldn't there be a sign indicating what the road is rated for to keep overweight vehicles from using the road without permits? Number 9, if the city of Cross Lake, Minnesota didn't have money in their funds for the road repair, they should have spent what they had versus going ahead with such a large-scale road construction project, and then ask for the money from the landowners to pay for it. Number 10, I was told that a 5-year study was done on the road, but why and who did the study? This is an interesting one. Number 11, the mayor of Cross Lake, Minnesota has had some serious financial issues, and maybe someone needs to investigate more into the city expenditures, since there appears to be a lack of funds for road projects. Thank you very much. I feel as a taxpayer across Lake Minnesota that these are viable questions that need to be answered by someone, and would expect someone to answer these. I am also sending a copy of this to my brother, who also owns land at Daggett Pine Road and is also being assessed, to make sure these questions are brought up and answered at the July 8th, 2024 meeting. Sincerely, Frank Marshall.
And I have one from Sandra Payne. This letter is to confirm my formal complaint to the Cross Lake City Council regarding the proposed assessments directed at discretionary property owners for Daggett Pine Road overlay costs. First and foremost is that this is a community access road to the community center, city park, pickleball courts, library, churches, and other recreational community use properties. I disagree that this should be paid by property owners for this type of road. The most usage of this road is not by the few private property owners, but hundreds of cars that drive to these public use properties. I also disagree with the assessment costs, as they appear to be very discriminatory according to where someone might reside. A person living in a private home uses the road the same as someone in a townhome or a trailer home, and yet have the proposed assessment appears to discriminate against the private homeowners. Why would a church that produces hundreds of cars traveling on this road every week be charged less than my property that has only 6 residents? I feel that this has not been thought out as far as who is benefiting most from this road improvement. Why are there trailer park residents that appear to be charged less and charged as one property, even though there are many more residents? Are the residents on Egret Road being assessed? Parkview Court is only a few feet down from Daggett Pine Road, as are a few other residents, and yet we are being assessed the same or more than residents that drive several miles down the road. Is this a fair assessing according to who benefits the most? The next question is why property abutting Daggett Pine Road is being assessed twice the amount because it is being classified as a shoreland district when it is not even close to the shore, and that there are large properties and Route 66 between the property and the lake. It also appears that someone just did this assessment schedule without any knowledge or consideration for some properties that by all standards should be the one assessed, even though there are two property numbers. One number is my home. In the last 15 years, I have tried twice to submit a consolidation of these two lots, as Cross Lake would not allow one home on each property, but nothing was ever done after submitting the paperwork. In closing, I would appreciate a reassessment of the assessments proposed to Parkview Court. These properties have provided a more cost-effective home for residents in Cross Lake area for over the years. An assessment of $5,000 for these properties I feel is excessive. Why are they not charged $500 per unit as the other townhomes and condos on the preliminary assessment roll? I would appreciate an individual meeting to further discuss any possible changes. Thank you, Sandra Payne.
So before I invite the public to come up, I've got a couple comments, questions I'd like to make, and I think the rest of us probably do too. And Phil, I guess I'm going to direct this question to you. So there are probably a dozen roads that are offshooting Daguerpine Road on the way out to the island. Okay? I went and wrote them all down. I drove down it. So are they being assessed for the road?
Past, or are they off of Dream Island?
Egret Road, anybody who lives on Egret, are they being assessed?
No,
No.
no,
Ox Lake Landing,
no.
Miller Road.
Moon Road's a private. The other
Miller
two
is
are
a private
public.
road?
Moon Trail or whatever?
No, Miller Road.
Oh, Miller Road, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
no. Those are public roads that the city will be taking care of in the future.
Okay, so I've just got one burning question about Moen Beach, because that is really a private road. So why would we assess them? Is it true because it's our only opportunity to assess them? Because their road will never be improved? Because it just seems real similar to me that Egret Road has got residents on it. They're not assessed because they will be when their road gets improved.
Because the city will maintain that, yeah.
But now we've got a private road that the people do all of their maintenance on, but we're going to go ahead and assess them anyway.
Yes.
Tom, I'm really kind of tempted to invite you to come up in the discussion too, but,
Sure.
well, I think this is probably a lot of what the guts of these people want to talk about, so I think we should talk about it. I'm just glancing through here. Cross Lake Evangelical Lutheran Church has got an assessment of $3,500. I believe that's the property across from the community center.
Correct.
That is vacant property.
Correct.
And up above that, the Presbyterian Church has got a $2,000 assessment, and that is an active church.
Acreage.
I'm sorry?
It's based on acreage. I believe the acreage across from community center is pretty large.
It's
The
probably
Presbyterian
40
Church
acres,
is-
arguably.
Yeah, and that's why I said in there, anything over 20 acres was assessed 3,500.
Don't they use that for, in the summer for outdoor meetings?
Yeah,
Outdoor
outdoor
services?
Right,
Yeah.
outdoor services.
Yeah.
So the differences between the two is based on acreage. Presbyterian is far less than 20 acres.
Is that how it's usually done?
That's how the city has, we did it on this one. The city has not broken, some communities actually look at a large parcel and they do ghost platting. They say, well, based on the fact that there's 40 acres there, and let's say there are 40 acres that aren't wet, that are usable, we can turn that into, I'm going to say 1 acre lots. I don't even know if that's acceptable. Then it could be 40 times the assessed amount. The city hasn't done that historically. We had some large lots on Birch Narrows and stuff, and the city's policy has been just to look at the lot as a whole and assess just as they have the same use as someone else.
I do
to
understand the
drive it.
argument that if, you've got an organization that has, multiple, users of the road, that it seems like they've created more damage, there are more people using it, but, I don't know if that's valid, but.
And And I can see what you're saying there. Again, I know that the Public Works Committee, when we wrestled with this, we have large lots that are, they're not even up here all the time. They have 2 accesses to them. There may be more a use from just some of the acre lake lots and acre non-lake lots and stuff. So it's just what historically we've tried to do to, I think, look at it fairly. It might not be considered fairly by all, but.
Well, I can see it'd be challenging to try to, break it down to, how many people, per
Yeah, I mean, because
lot,
we have commercial, sometimes commercial will get a larger benefit view. Again, we just tried to look at everyone from the guise of, it's primarily residential or vacant in here, and try and apply it across.
Okay, I'd like to back up to the logic that these secondary streets are going to be assessed when they're, but the logic falls apart when you look at Bone Beach Trail, because if they come on board, they're paying 100% of the cost of the road construction. And these other secondary streets, if they get maintenance all the time, that they're going to be assessed whenever the city's going to do that street. So the logic doesn't quite balance out when you look at it, that the private road people are paying for their maintenance, their snow removal, trees falling, rock replacement on the roads, and all that. They're paying to a tune of $500-700 a year. And the logic that you're not doing the other secondary streets is because they're going to be assessed. Well, if the Moon Beach Trail comes on board, it's 100% of the cost of that road construction. So it kind of falls apart. And in the study, the indirect access, they don't even mention it in there because I don't think they can put their finger on a market value benefit.
Right. Moon Beach Trail it's a private road. Anything else that's a private road that comes directly off Daggett Pine, we proposed an indirect assessment because that's what we had done on Birch Narrows. We believe that they do derive a benefit by this improvement to Daggett Pine Road. I believe Daggett Court is another one. There are proposed indirect or secondary assessments there, because again, that's not a publicly maintained road. It's not a public road. It's a private road. It's essentially those parcels' driveway to their parcel.
So Daggett Court is 1,000 each for the people
Yes.
who live on that?
I think it's called Daggett Court. It's at the end. Is it called Daggett Court, Pat, at the end? Yeah. Whereas Waterford Court, Daggett Lane, are egret, are roads that come off Wilderness. They're roads that come off of it. They will be improved at some point in the future as a mill and overlay or a full depth reclamation or a reconstruction. They would be assessed.
But not full construction
Full construction would be assessed.
on those secondary streets.
Yes.
They're being maintained now.
They're being
And they would-
maintained now. At
they would
some
get
point,
full-
they're not going to be maintainable, and they will be replaced, and they would be assessed
At the appraisal, the
at the
benefit
time.
appraisal.
At the benefit
Not the
appraisal.
total cost.
At the time, yep.
Not the
benefit
total
appraisal at
cost.
the
It'd be
time.
like a $4,000 assessment.
It
Or whatever.
was
What-
4,000 2 years ago, and construction prices have increased.
What is it this year
For,
for total
don't-
cost?
we don't have a
Replacement.
reconstruction cost. We only have a mill and overlay project that we're doing.
Yeah, I know, but if we did have, would it be the $4,000 or
That's what
6,000?
Rushmore was last year, right?
A few years ago, yeah.
A few years ago.
Okay.
Harbor Lane is being considered. We've got we got an appraisal, opinion of market benefit for that. And we were seeing reconstruction, 6,000 to 11,000 was what they were saying the benefit was for off of there.
So Phil, if somebody had a bigger parcel, 39 acres, and they had 4 houses on that parcel, but there was only one address, would that just be one assessment?
4 houses on
One property,
But one property identifier?
yeah. One address. One property identification number.
If you have 4 houses,
I don't
would they all
know.
have to have
Is
an
that
address?
possible?
What if I built 4 houses on my property? And they come down, would that be one assessment?
If you're the owner of the parcel
Yeah,
and there's one PID and you don't have recorded 4 different, I'm not even sure how that works, but I think
Well,
we
I
look
mean-
at parcel as, like,
can't
everything
work
we've done here is based on a
Each
parcel.
one has to have their own ID when you start to build them.
no, they don't.
I think they get it whether you like it or not.
That is why the townhomes have their own. That is why the condominiums have their own, because they each have a unique parcel ID number. That is their land. And that's
Okay.
our basis, is on a parcel basis.
But if I wanted to build each of my kids a house on my property and give it to them, and we shared a mailbox, and they were under my property ID, that would be one assessment.
I guess that would probably be one we'd initially say.
Paul, is
that's
that
one.
allowed? Thank you.
Our basis is parcel-based. Our assessment is parcel-based.
So, and being as the marshals kind of called me out here on something, I'm just going to bring that family up, is they've got a big parcel, and there are 4 or 5 or 6 permanent trailer houses on that parcel. And they're getting one over 20 acre assessment.
$3,500 assessment, yep, is what's proposed.
But it's clearly used quite a, there's 5 or 6 individual places there.
I don't know how many portable things they bring in, but
Okay.
it's not divided beyond that one.
Well, I don't want to take up all your guys' time, so we'll let you come up here, but.
So there is, again, like I said, it was related to, I think you brought up the size of the church property and stuff. There are some communities that do try and do like a ghost plat and figure out how many assessments they could be. But they also is the notion that if someone's going to develop that property, they are going to incur costs to develop the road system in that property. So that's part of our discussion we had is it's being used as a residential with just a lot of space. And that followed what we had done historically in 2022.
All right, well, I'm going to close this, open it up to the public, but I still am going to put my last Moen Beach thing in because those people have the burden of maintaining the road already, and now we're assessing them again for an offside, and there's something uncomfortable about
I
that to me.
agree, Dave.
Come on, Daryl.
My name is Darrell Swanson, and I am representing Cross Lake Lutheran Church. To answer your questions, the church has owned 40 acres of land on Daggett Pine Road since 1972, so I think that's 52 years. It's used 16 Sundays a year from the middle of May till right after Labor Day. We have some vacation Bible school there, a couple of other Wednesday nights events, so it's around 20 to 25 days a year, a little less than a month. And so, on regular taxes, we're exempt, but from special assessments, we're not. But is there any consideration to be given for a facility that basically, because we use about 12 acres for the outdoor worship service, the rest is vacant land. So is there some consideration that be given to the worshipers of Cross Lake Lutheran Church and, of course, a lot of community members who come on Sunday, but only in the summer out there to have it reduced from the full $3,500? We don't tax, as you know. All our offerings are voluntary. So any money we can save is greatly appreciated.
So Daryl, I got to play the devil's advocate here.
As a member of Cross Lake Lutheran, you certainly can. Full disclosure.
So it's used 20 times a year,
Roughly, yeah.
and there's probably 500 vehicles that attend, 300?
Last Sunday, it was 182 people that were there. We
Okay,
count
so
the
100
people, not the
vehicles.
cars. Call it 100.
Okay, so, I mean, that, you know where I'm getting with this, is, a person that lives in a house and goes in and out twice a day. And I'm being their advocate here, not knowing what I'm doing, but I'm just
Sure.
explaining that. That's all I wanted to make, is that point, is that traffic.
Well, I just
Because a
wanted-
lot of people do, and they're legitimate, the community center, ton of traffic down there. It is a city road, there's no question about it.
Yeah. I just have to do my duty.
Yep, thank you. One more quick thing I want to add is that we've struggled with this assessment policy for years.
Yeah.
And we came up with the formula that we came up with, 4,000 for new construction. It roughly, we hope, it roughly covers half of the cost of doing the road. The intention of doing this is to try to keep our property taxes down. So we shut it out. We could just put it all on the tax thing and then we'd be in there complaining about our taxes. So this is kind of a tough place to make a decision up here in front, what to do. But that's how it is. It's about a 4-year policy that we've struggled with, and this is what we came up with.
Right.
Overlay,
Otherwise, you'd be
mill
the
and overlay
county.
is 2,000, reconstruction is 4, chip seal is nothing, regular maintenance is nothing.
That's what it was. Again, these are, the city always goes out based on the time. We've had blue sky times where property values, where wages, where a lot of stuff has increased. We could be in a situation in the future where things aren't as blue sky and an appraisal of the benefit might be lower. So at this moment, in 2022, it was 4,000 for reconstruction. We didn't do a mill and overlay. In 2024, the mill and overlay was what it is shown. Will it be in 2028? I don't know.
Any questions for me?
Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you.
Anybody have a question? No. Okay, anybody else?
My name's Jerry Peterson. I have property up at Carefree off of the Daggett Pine Road. And I want to say, Dave, if you need any help with your bills or anything,
Thanks, I appreciate it.
I'm serious.
There's a sign-up sheet in the back there that I'll have out.
But anyway, Carefree has their own private road. We maintain it, we pay for the snow plowing, all the maintenance on it, similar to some of the other roads. So I have a question. Some of our units are being charged $500. We have 4 vacant lots. They're being charged $500. Nobody's on that lot is using the road. And we have another piece of property there, it's under 10 acres. Nobody there is using the road.
What is that assessment? Do you know? Did you-
2,000,
Okay,
yeah.
less than 20.
But the vacant lots, there's 4 of them, $500 apiece. I don't understand who benefits from that.
Will they always be vacant?
That's a good question.
The
I have no
reason I
idea.
ask that is because
I don't know.
assessment is not
You know,
for, it's not for this moment.
I mean,
Assessment is
probably if a
actually.
meteor hits that area
Yeah.
tomorrow, they
It-
probably
it-
won't be
It's actually, assessment is laid out to be for the best,
for the future.
best possible use based on the zoning of the parcel.
Right.
I
I understand.
We just simply pulled your lot.
Have you
something.
been assessing on other road improvements in Cross Lake?
Yes.
Okay. How old was the pavement on Daggett Pine Road?
The pavement between, in front of the community center, so from the county road to just past Wilderness, based on records, we think that that was 20 years old.
Okay. Is that the
21.
average when you read?
When you do a mill and overlay? That's actually longer.
okay.
We used to hear, 15 years out, you do a mill and overlay, try and get a road to limp through to, we have city streets, we have great sand conditions, so we can get roads to go 30,
So
40 years.
I see you're looking to get 100.
The stuff beyond that is much older.
So you're looking to get $157,500 and the whole project was
265.
$265. Does the city of Cross Lake get money from when we buy gas, road taxes?
No.
Where's that go?
The city of Cross Lake is not,
Goes to our governor.
you're not a,
Where does that money go?
you're not a state aid city. It only, it goes to communities that are over 5,000, or you're the county or the state.
So
So-
the city of Cross Lake gets nothing.
No, there's been years where the legislature has pulled some money aside, and they call it small city road assistance. I can't remember what the city got in the past. Do you remember, we've done this a couple times, did you get about $25,000 to $30,000? It's based on how many miles you have, but
I don't
it's
know
not,
offhand.
we don't
Okay.
qualify unless there's special legislative action.
All right, my final thing is, I really don't agree with assessing homeowners that live alongside of a road. If I want to pave my driveway, I don't call up Anderson Brothers and say, come and pave my driveway. And they get it done and I go, oh, Jesus, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. You know, shouldn't that be done ahead of time? Shouldn't we figure out, shouldn't you set a budget and then spend that budget instead of just, I don't know how it works.
I think that's part of our issue is, again, I wasn't around here when the roads were paved. I think that what I've learned in other communities, I assume it happened in Cross Lake as well, in about the mid-'80s or so, a lot of paving started to happen in communities. The demand for getting rid of the gravel roads and getting the paving started. But a lot of communities, and Cross Lake is guilty of that too, didn't put away dollars or tax you.
Are we going to start doing that?
And so that you could keep maintaining it. The deterioration has happened to the point where the cost to fix them now is getting harder and greater because we didn't stay on top of it. We're trying to get back and preserve what we still have left with this 5-year plan, so that we're not into stuff that costs $100 a street foot. We're dealing with stuff that costs $12 a
I
street foot.
have one more thing. I don't live on any lake around here for the same reason Dave is in debt so bad. But anyway, but why do people that live on the lake have to pay more? Do they use the road more? They use it less, I believe. Don't they? They're only here occasionally. I don't understand that part.
I just know when the-
Is it because they have more money?
I don't know. That's always been a question that's been raised. I know when we have these appraisers coming in, I think they look at what is the benefit if they're going to, if this property is going to benefit and add to their sale down the road, maybe the lake property is considered this, somebody would pay a larger, higher price for that. We tried to take that out of this equation. Actually, there were some comments that was made in Public Works. So someone who has an acre on the lake or an acre, a single-family resident, you know,
They're
they're
already
using it the
paying more
same, the
taxes
same
to the
amount.
city,
They're
right?
using it the same amount, so they're, I think
But
their
they're
view
already
is to
paying more
balance.
taxes to the city of Cross Lake because of the value of their property, I would guess.
I would guess you're right.
But we're not assessing lake, off lake,
No.
any differently.
Not
We're
on
not.
this road, I'm just.
We took
Yeah.
that off the
I know,
category.
they've discussed
It
it
was in the-
before.
It was
and-
in here, so I thought I'd bring it
Yeah.
up for the poor people that live on the lakes.
Yeah.
We hit a
No.
middle ground.
Should not
So-
happen.
Yeah, all right, I don't have anything else.
Thank you, Jerry.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak up. I'm a seasonal resident here, so I don't have the
What's your name and
Oh,
address?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Joe Ranzio,
Can you spell your
15
last name, Joe?
Ronzio.
Okay.
We have a Daredevil sign if you want to drive by. I told you, 15081 Daggett Pine address. Like I said, we don't have the right to vote. It's kind of ironic we're doing this right around the 4th of July because didn't this country fight for the right to vote before taxation? And is Wagner here?
I don't know.
Wagner. Well, in your meeting here, a Public Works meeting, Wagner was mentioned.
He is not here.
He's not here. Okay. Well, I wanted to congratulate him because I thought he made a great recommendation that you should take inflation into consideration for future assessments. My question to you is, where have you been the last 3 years? You go to grocery store, it's up 25, 30%. My taxes, my evaluation on my property, I've been here 10 years, is up over 150%.
Are you saying we should be assessing more?
No, what I'm saying is, I think you're misusing my tax dollars,
Okay.
because my tax dollars have gone up 30% in the last 3 years. My tax dollars coming into this community is more than what the assessment is. My question is, I used to work Daggett Pine Road 4 months out of the year. So I'll be happy to pay a third of your assessment, if your assessment is correct.
My response to that 4 months a year, if I may,
You go right ahead, Dave.
it's available to you 12 months a year.
Pardon me?
It's available to you 12 months a year. And
But-
that's same with our sewer assessment.
But
you know,
I
'cause we
wasn't,
get-
I wasn't given the right to vote, Dave. I didn't even know this was gonna happen. You sent a letter out in April. I get up here, it's already done. I thought there'd be a meeting on it saying, you know, here's what the cost is, just like Jerry said. But,
We have been having meetings on this for 4 years.
all right, but
I mean,
I,
we have.
I guess I should look up more of your notes. But in your budget, you've got over $2 million for 1 year in road repairs, road construction. Where's that money going? You know, you got 2,400, that's 1 year. This is a 5-year plan. My math's correct, that's $12 million.
Where do we have 2 million in 1 year? Is this the road plan, or are you saying
This
the
is
city?
your 2024 proposed budget,
Oh, it's your city budget.
road construction, 2 million.
Right, and then we have a portion of the county road that they're
Okay.
redoing, that the city's on $750,000 there.
But it's a 5-year plan.
No. The 5-year plan the city's doing is on local roads, and we're trying to do about $1 million a year. So year 1 was 24, year 5 will be 2028, and there's about $1 million a year. So if we get better than, like this year, we're gonna be actually under $1 million because we got great pricing, and we took a couple seal coat segments out. But the road part that you're talking about to get to the 2 million, that's a separate road. That's the county road. That's the SAW 3 and 66 intersection and the pedestrian improvements. That is a $4.5 million project that the county's paying for 80% of that project. The city is paying 20%, which ends up being about the $750,000 that you're lumping into the 2024 budget.
So what about looking at inflation? It brought up in the meeting, you all agreed on it. Why not do it this year? I mean, we've been in inflation, our properties
I
are
think it-
overvalued, our taxes are going up.
I think his view on inflation was, if we assess in year 1 $2,000 for mill and overlay, and in year 2, which is 2025, we have more mill and overlay we're going to be doing, we should assess 2,000 plus inflation. I think that's what his comment was based on. And Tom, I don't know if that is. So he was talking about inflating, so construction keeps going up, we should inflate the assessment up. That's what his comment was.
Well, in closing, I want to say, we've worked hard our whole life to enjoy our golden years. I'm over 65. I have my family come up, and the kids enjoy it. We really enjoy Cross Lake. But if this taxes keep on going up, and I get hit for these assessments, I'm just not going to be able to continue to support this community in taxes. And I wish I would be able to get a homestead up here and some consideration for as much money as we put in here, that you give us a break on this assessment. 4 to 5 cabins by me are owned by retired people. Folks, are you retired? Are you on a fixed income?
Yes?
Okay. 1 out of how many? No. 2, okay. You live on a lake on Daggett Pine Road?
Couldn't afford
You're
to-
lucky.
Couldn't afford to.
Well, thank you for your time. I got to go. I'm not going to be rude and walk out of here. Just understand where I come from. I live in Houston, Texas, and I got 3 daughters down there, and we were hit by a hurricane. I've been on the phone most of the day, so I got some calls and things to do. Okay,
Good luck to you, and thank you.
Joe, I was going to say, since you're leaving, if you intend to object, write it down and leave it.
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'm just saying, I didn't want you to-
I'm going to lose. I won't get a fair hearing in this court. I'll lose,
Okay,
and I'm not going to pay you 5%.
okay.
Judy Holmquist, I live on 14362 Daggett Pine Road. And I just have one question here about this deferment. How do we go about finding out if we can apply for that?
Talk with Shar, I guess, or, yep.
Okay, that's all the question I have.
I should say, just because you brought up deferment, so to go a little bit deeper into deferment, if the city assesses, let's just say they assess your parcel or the one you're interested in at $2,000, and they go 15 years at 5% interest rate, and you wait till 15 years to pay it off, which might work because maybe there's a sale, that assessment accrues interest for 15 years. So it's 2,000 plus 15 years of interest when you pay it off. I just want to make sure you know that. Okay. Yep. Okay.
I just have one question. My name is Elizabeth Schlapkol, and I'm affiliated with Carefree Association. My question is, how much of this assessment is the city of Cross Lake paying for the community center and the garden that are affiliated there? Do you have a certain percentage, or?
The Cross Lake Community Center is paying, a large lot for 40 acres, $3,500. The other one is 2,000 and 2,000.
Okay.
I think the garden is 2,000, and there's like a.
What? Right.
Okay. All right, that was all my question. Thank you.
And the balance of the project.
So does the city pay that with our tax dollars then? Or what? Well, of course. So they're really not paying it.
It's out of the general fund.
Let it roll.
Chris Blaskowski, St. Joseph, Minnesota. I have a parcel off a Tall Timber Trail. I technically have 2 easements on there. As I'm being considered in here, it's $1,000 because it's a secondary assessment. So when I purchased the property, I was told my address would be off a Tall Timber Trail. Is that in consideration? Is that why I'm considered a secondary? Would I be a primary once Tall Timber Trail gets assessed?
Which one's yours? Because
Lot
I know
8.
there's 3 lots with a long
Yeah,
easement.
Lot 8, we had to pay for that road to go to Daggett Pine Road, all 3 of us,
Okay,
7, 8, 9.
but you're saying that you're,
So when I bought the property, I was told my address by the city was going to be Tall Timber Trail. If that was the case today, I wouldn't,
so
in
you
my
would,
opinion, be considered for this
you would build a
assessment.
road to access to,
We had to build a road because of the lawsuit that happened on that road back there. We had to put in that road, the lot 7, 8, 9 had to pay for that road to be put in privately all the way out to Daggett Pine Road.
Isn't there only one fire number on that road?
Yeah, there's one guy right now that has a fire number on Daggett Pine Road. Bart Wallace is the shared parcel with the easement access that I have rights to, and that's where I wanted my fire number and my address. So that was my question is.
so you're not going out to, you're not planning to go out to Tall Timbers at all?
I do not want to go out to, no, I do want to go out to Tall Timber. That's the only way I access my property, even though that road that goes to Daggett Pine Road is put in there. I do not feel that if I ever needed emergency services and I built back there, that that road is large enough to get emergency services to me. So I want my address to be on Tall Timber Trail, and that's why I was wondering if I'm being considered for the secondary for the $1,000 because my primary would be Tall Timber Trail, or are we talking two
No, we
different things?
thought your access is off this long road easement that comes down off of Daggett.
Okay,
And so you're indirect there.
okay.
But you don't even touch Tall Timbers. How do you get there?
Bart Wallace's driveway, that's my easement, that's my ingress egress. So I have his parcel, well, you have the map right there. I have his parcel number for that, but I've only ever used that road. The lawsuit hit that we had to put in that other easement because there was other property owners that aren't there anymore, that they were saying that was their only access. So I had to share that expense as well to put in a private road.
It's funny, there's only one fire alarm around.
Well, only one person has built on 7,
Right.
8, and 9 right now. I think Lot 9 is currently being developed, from what I see. I'm not certain. But, yeah, there's only one guy that physically lives there right now.
Do all of you have an agreement with Bart Wallace?
It is recorded. It is a very gray area. Anybody you bring it up to does not even want to talk about it in the city here, to be honest with you. You have to go to the county level to get any answers. Anybody that I've
Because
spoke
last
to,
time I walked through there, it was blocked off.
he blocks it.
Right.
He blocks
So how
it.
could you get emergency services through
Well,
there?
his driveway's open. It's a major issue.
Talk to you and address if it needs to be addressed. This reflects differently than what's shown on the parcel.
And maybe this is for a different meeting, but then how do I go about getting my property and address on Tall Timber? You know,
Can he disclose your planning and zoning?
I don't know if it's a civil issue, I don't know, but
it's recorded.
it's a mess.
It is a mess. It is recorded, though, that it's ingress egress off of Tall Timber Trail.
But you don't own property to Tall Timber Trail.
What's that?
You don't own property.
No, it's an ingress egress access off of Tall Timber Trail.
So that I feel like you're indirect off of Tall Timbers or you're indirect off of Daggett Pine.
Right, and my
So
question
you're
was, am I
you're
going
a
to get hit on
secondary,
both?
you're a secondary assessment. We thought you were accessing Daggett Pine.
No, I personally, I mean, that road is long, and I hate it because I paid to put it in. I actually put 3/4 of it in myself. But once you make the corner, it is not, I know the city gave a 0 lot line variance there, but it is extremely tight through there if Bart decides to block his easement.
So you just want to make sure you're not going to be assessed twice?
Well, right, and then I want to move forward, but I want my address to be Tall Timber Trail, so.
Don't we have control over the address? Why don't we just, I mean, we've
Well, he
had
hasn't
streets.
applied for one, he's not building
Oh.
yet.
Right, but now if I assume and I pay the assessment, I'm now legally saying I assume responsibility that my address plate's gonna be out on Daggett Pine Road.
So what parcel number are you? I'm sorry.
The parcel number is 140905579. And not to touch on, because I know other people asked it, but it's a vacant property. So I'm not even up here to utilize it, which I get, you know, like you said. I have access to use it 12 months out of the year. You know, the question that got brought up earlier, though, about portable campers that you brought up, that other people can utilize. Well, from what the city told me is I'm restricted to bring in like a camper for the weekend to use my property. Is that the case? But yet we're allowing it on other areas?
That's that question again.
So I am told by the city when I've called that if I want to use my property and I want to bring in a portable fish house to utilize it for the weekend, I am told by the city that I cannot do that. But earlier, we were talking about one parcel that had multiple portable trailer houses there that is being allowed.
They were grandfathered.
When was that, though?
I have no idea, but that's what I was told. They were,
So
because
being-
Why is that the case?
50 years ago. Because they're only supposed to have, this is just what I've been told, but I don't know for a fact, I've not seen it on paper, that they were allowed 5 campers at that site, only 5 campers. And if they ever go over that, the city should go out there and tell them.
Okay, I believe the ordinance.
No, but
reads-
otherwise campers, it's 14 days, I think. 14 days you can have them on your lot.
Campers on your property for the weekend.
You can use it 14
four-
days a year as a camper.
14 days is the deal.
Without a principal use, you can't have a campground.
This is
Without a principal
planning and
use,
zo-
yes.
Yeah. You-
Okay,
So you don't have a house there, you
No.
just want to bring the camper.
Yeah.
but you can do that, you can camp there for 14 days a year.
Paul, is that
If you
true?
have a principal, if you have a
No?
house, yes.
You need a principal structure on your lot to have a camper.
I thought when we did for Mark that time, I thought that was 14 days.
With the principal structure, you can use your RV up to 14 days.
Okay, I stand corrected, because he's the planning guy to talk to.
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds good. No other questions?
I would come in and try to get
Yeah.
a fire number on Eltram Trails, you gotta figure out your easement.
I would apply for
My
an
easement, my
address.
easement's fine, so anybody who's here, my easement is fine. I want to make that clear. I'm not afraid of it. I get you guys all recommend legal counsel for it. I do have the paperwork from the county that it is ingress, egress.
Well, my question is, you said an emergency vehicle couldn't get down that road that you built, but I don't think they could get through that driveway if Bart is blocking it either.
Yeah,
So-
but he's not blocking it currently, you know? I know you laugh at it, but
I know, but, I mean, he has blocked it in the past.
I understand. I just don't want it to be on record that my address is gonna be on Daggett Pine Road that leaves me liable that my ingress egress to Tall Timber Trail could disappear.
Are you the one that will look into that, or do we need an attorney?
I think you
I get
should,
the concern.
can he apply for an address right now? Can he come in and apply for the address?
Planning and zoning, I don't know.
And if it is a legal egress easement, he cannot block that driveway.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Why did he block, or why does he block it?
He thinks
prevent
it's
him
his
from
own
giving
personal use. So if you actually go back to the county and you go to the recorder's office, he has, since it's an association, has gone back and forth on having people vote in on the access. Can you use it as ingress egress? Can you use it as a walking trail only? Can you use it as a four-wheeler trail? So currently, as it's recorded at the county address, is it's unrestricted ingress egress. The problem that everybody here is scared of is he could change that. Well, he needs 75% vote in the association to change that.
Of what, 4 people?
12 technically.
So you need to establish an address there and use that road.
Exactly.
I mean, so go into planning and zoning, get the address. Right?
See the guy in the back corner over here?
Yeah.
His name is Paul.
With his head down, way down.
Yeah, exactly.
Visit with him,
All right.
okay?
And then the last question I had is, earlier you guys were talking about the private roads that everybody's maintaining right now. So if you guys decide to change something with that they don't have to pay as much, or they're gonna be assessed in the future or whatever, does that automatically apply to everybody in the community for the access, or do I need to file an appeal with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you guys say, whoever that one group was, that they
On
pay for,
Moen,
they pay for their road, they plow their road, they maintain, and you guys decide, you know what? We're gonna do nothing, we're gonna do $100 per person. Does that reflect, does that trickle down, or is it just because in each individual team brought it up?
We are trying to make this assessment policy across the board.
Okay,
But if you have any questions, my advice to you is to file the
Correct.
current,
So
file
that's a-
with it currently.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
If there are people that object, and they decide to push forward with their objection, they will hire their own legal, and they will make schedule the appeal with district court and fight it. If they win, okay, if they get a reduced assessment or no assessment, their assessment would be adjusted.
Just
Anyone
them
else that does
individually.
not object, the city could still come back and say, we've decided to change, but they don't have to.
sure.
You walk out of here without objecting, in writing, you're done.
But objection means I gotta go get my own legal counsel, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's going to cost more than the 1,000. And that was just my question is how I'd be assessed for one, tall timber versus Daggett pine.
I think if
But
we were to change it, if we feel like that's,
If you're going to object, you need to put it in writing and give it to her tonight. Otherwise,
And the other part
Nobody's gonna
is you
listen.
need to put in that you want your address coming off of Tall Timbers again. That should also be so you don't get billed twice somehow. Okay? I'm not trying to be, but
Do
that
what,
can
though?
happen.
Go,
Put in your objection and also state on your objection that you want your address to come off of Tall Timbers,
okay.
because that'll be the other consideration, which won't get made tonight, but we'll have to deal with.
Okay, thank you.
well, I was just going to say, I think if we decided that it wasn't fair to assess a private road, because they do their own maintenance, I would think that that would set a precedent that it would be, citywide. That's my opinion.
Hopefully it would, but this group changes.
it's the,
Sure.
As rock solid as we appear, we're not very.
But if we put
don't-
it in
doesn't the-
writing,
Thank you.
change it. Yeah.
doesn't the state statute say like parcels have to be assessed alike? So, and our assessment policy even says that. Like parcels need to be assessed the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Marcia, we just have to change the, statute, whatever.
Can you not read cursive? Bonnie Schlapko, now it's going to be a test on me. Here we go. I, Bonnie Schlapko, hereby declare that I am of the age of 89 with a limited income of $796 a month of Social Security. I am unable to afford this assessment on Daggett Pine Road. I strongly object to this assessment and would like to see my assessment deferred due to hardships to make the payment. Sincerely, Bonnie Schlapko.
So I think there is something.
Yes.
Deferment and objection.
Deferred.
Are you impressed I could read cursive?
I am. The limits of you impressing me, Jackson, are just.
So you'll get a hold of her and the process.
Her phone number's on there too.
Duly noted. Who else, please? You got 17 minutes.
Council members,
Yes, sir.
my name is Merle Marshall. My brother is Frank Marshall. And I'm the one with the 5 trailers. And we obey what the city told us to do, is have them all licensed. And the 3,500 is not only where you see the 5 trailers, but Brother Joe's got 40 acres and Frank has got 40 acres. So there's 3 of us paying that kind of money. So I just want to clarify that with you, Dave. Okay. Okay, well, it didn't make it sound like when you said that. There's 3 of us. So that's all being done. And our land, just a little history, mine and Joe's, now Frank's a little different, but that was the homestead of my great-great-grandfather, which is 100-some years old. So a letter was written, I heard comment about not knowing or whatever, but there is a letter that was written that we have that states that we can do what we're doing legally. So,
And that letter is from the city, I assume?
yep. Yep. So we got that. We're doing the best, we tend to clean it up. It's a nice little place there. So with that said, that's all I got.
Thank you.
I'm Denny Skillingstead, 15287 Daggett Pine Road. A lot of things have been covered, but listening to it, so Dream Island, they got the chip resurfacing.
Correct.
So does that mean that they aren't in the lineup for milling down the road?
They are in the lineup for milling or probably reconstruction down the road.
what kind of time frame? I mean, again, because you know, it was asked by somebody else, they are not being assessed, but yet that's their only way
Yeah,
in and out,
yeah. Right, we went.
along with anybody. I
we
mean,
went-
that road is, anybody that goes in, that's the only way they can come out.
That was considered a chip seal at this point. Chip seals last 5 to 7 years, and then if it's not in chip sealable shape again, then it would go to a mill and overlay. If it doesn't get done, it could go towards a full
But
depth
again,
reclamation.
you're talking assessments off these other branch roads, but yet there is none for the,
Not at the moment. It's
Okay, just to
had better
clear
condition.
something on that topic, is we've got our primary roads in town that are heavily used, and we want to maintain them. The dead-end, smaller roads, and Big Pine Trail is an example of this. About 4 or 5 years ago, they petitioned not to fix their road.
Yep.
And so unless the people on Dream Island come into the city with a petition saying we want our road improved, chances are we're not gonna improve it. So we're gonna have them come and ask us to do it on the smaller road.
well, that was brought up here about Daggett Pine Road. Why weren't we asked first? But I like it. I mean, I love it.
Yeah,
Don't get me
it's-
wrong.
We consider that a primary road, even though it is a dead end, but it's,
And the other thing, again, the discussion, where I live, how does acreage come into the market value? I don't get it. I've been in, where I also live, I've been through 2 road assessment type things, that's always lineal footage. Why does acreage, I mean, you can have 400 acres back that way,
we have been pounding this for 4 years.
okay, I haven't heard it before, so I'm sorry.
What if you have a 40-acre chunk and 27 feet of it hits the road?
Yeah, well, that's where I'm going.
So you're getting assessed for 27 feet.
I've got 100 feet on Daggett Pine, and I'm getting a $2,000 assessment. And yet the properties across the roads are over 1,200, and they're getting a $3,500 assessment. Just because they got acre, I mean,
Well, it's not an improved, I don't know, I mean, and we wrestled with that a long time. Do we
'Cause-
use best case use of it? Do we put 8 lots?
the
in there?
example between Wilderness Trail and Moen Beach Road, the south side of the road assessment's 56,000. The north side's is 11,000. Just in perspective on how it's,
It's just primarily vacant land, right? I mean,
well, but
it's not gonna be
it's
all of
it's
that.
posted, no trespassing, I can't go on it. You know, the owners don't want you on it, so why? Just my comments.
I wish
I
you would
appreciate it.
join the board and help us figure it out, because there's an awful lot of heartache that goes.
Well, I mean, yeah, and with the 5-year plan, I don't know
Right.
where the other,
It's all on the internet.
You can
I
get,
understand, no, I know it's on there.
Oh,
I've
okay.
looked at it, but I'm just saying on how that's gonna,
Right.
this is gonna affect that down the road with the
Hopefully we're gonna
different,
follow suit,
But-
whatever happens here.
you know, like other people said, it's not,
So the reason we milled and overlaid Daggett Pine is we're trying to preserve it. We should get 20 or so years out of that road now. Had we not done anything, in 5 years, we probably would have done a reconstruction. Then it would have been a $4,000 assessment each way.
no, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I just say the equality of where things are here, it doesn't,
That's
like
just
other
what we
people
struggle
said.
with is how much and what do we do with, where do we do it?
Just, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Dave Schlapko, Carefree Drive. I just was curious on a couple things, I guess, really at the end of the day, I'll try to make it quick, is, for starters, let's just say like Chatham Park, for example, right? Let's say there's 30 individual lots there. Are those all 500 apiece?
David, those lots and, but they're not owned.
No, I get that. They're renting, each individual person is renting.
Right.
But the person that owns that whole parcel, that has potentially 30 lots that those each individual people are renting.
So what did the assessment?
So they'll get they're a large acreage. It's large single parcel acreage. They
Yep,
get a
over 20.
$3,500 assessment.
But how many
And-
lots are in there? No.
One.
How many homes are in there?
Well, you didn't ask, it's one lot. It's one parcel ID for that entire thing.
Okay, so how do they determine whose property is whose when they bring in a park model?
I don't know.
You couldn't have more than one
Huh?
home on a piece of property.
Well, I'm just curious, because at Carefree, we have 11 units.
Right.
Right?
Right.
In which I believe 8 or 9 of them, no, excuse me, 8 of them are privately owned. So we're all getting hit.
I get that.
At $500 apiece, correct?
Yeah.
They're all privately owned.
Correct, and they're all getting hit at $500 a piece, plus there's the empty the empty development there that's ready for, let's say, a fourplex. They're getting hit $500 a piece, right? But if we go to Chatham Park, it's one parcel, but there's multiple homes with multiple addresses, right?
So if there's 30 and it was 500 piece, it should be a
$15,000 assessment,
Right.
correct?
Well, they also have interior roads that the city maintains that they'll get assessed on. Wilderness also fronts them, they'll get assessed on that as well.
What was
So
that?
Wilderness fronts some of that land as well.
Okay,
So
but Wilderness isn't getting assessed yet, you
I
said.
know there's holes.
when they're done.
When they're all done, which we
Right.
can't predict, because we don't know when that's gonna happen.
Well, we have a road plan in here, so you can see in the next 5 years if they fit in there.
If they fit in, okay, but at the same time, again, I'm going back to Chatham Park. Each individual unit has its own address. They have their own mailboxes, right? Yes, they rent the property they're on, but one sole person owns that whole entire property. Now, if it's $3,500, how is Carefree altogether twice as much when it's a third of the units?
I get that.
I do too. I mean, I get it. You have, the difference in our view was you had individual parcel IDs, and that was considered just a large acreage.
Okay, so, but that's.
And then
the
we
same
did,
for
and then
everybody.
we didn't apply a per square footage basis. We did it just based on the lot.
Okay, but that's the go-to answer for everything with everybody. What I'm saying is there's, let's say, 30 individual families living on one piece of property in 30 different units. I mean, that should be $500 a piece. If my numbers are right, I mean, that's the numbers you're giving us. You know, and the other ironic thing is, you know, looking at the plat maps, doing everything else, checking the acreage out. You have less than 20, more than 20. Why didn't you go less than 10, between 10 and 20, 20 and 30, 30 and 40, 40 and 50? Because ironically enough, the community center is the only one who's 21 acres. And that's a $3,500 assessment, which is the same of probably this gentleman, if you still look right here. And he's got some people coming in there where the community center's got thousands of dollars a year, right?
Right.
And it's 41 acres. Well, it's just ironic, like I said, ironically enough, it's 20 plus, it's $3,500. So where does, I mean, who made the numbers, who came up with the numbers, who made the decision on what acreage is what, and who got charged what? And then finally, I guess really before I end it here is, I guess it's maybe public information, but what was the total amount in taxpayers' money in the city of Cross Lake alone in 2023?
Sorry,
What was that?
What was the total property taxed amount in the city of Cross Lake for 2023? Roughly, does anybody have an idea? I mean, I'm sure it's well over 2, 3, 5. Yeah, 4.5 million, probably even more than that if we really got into depth, you know? So, I mean, I'm with everybody else, which we've already covered, but you got $4.5 million sitting there that these people, whether they use it for 3 weeks out of the year or full time, where's it at? Why don't we benefit from it? Why don't our roads get used or, you know, taken care of?
Well,
It doesn't all go into roads.
$8.5 million or whatever it's gonna be if we do that.
Right, but it's just, and it's just, where's that? That's the biggest thing, you know?
Everybody is gonna want a new road. Instead of asking them to petition us for a new road.
But the thing is too, is Daggett Pine, I disagree. I don't believe, I've been there for 5 years. I've traveled down that road my entire life. Okay? I don't think it needed to be done. Is it nice? Yes, but was it done
Well, the
properly?
only reason we did that, David, is so that we didn't have to totally rebuild it.
Right, but at the same time, we took the top layer, you can already go down the road and feel the old frost pieces. In 24 months, we're gonna have those cracks and all the problems again because it wasn't all the way down to the dirt when we done.
Well, you'll have,
It's-
you
it's
better,
no time.
you'll have cracks in 24 hours. You live, or in 24 months. You live in Minnesota. You go from 100 degrees to minus
I
20.
get that, but I mean, it wasn't,
It
I
was
don't think
not.
it was done properly, but, and then to address like the dirt on the side as well. I don't know if the city did that, but let's get real, man. They go out there and they say they flatten it, and the stuff's all over the road. Like,
Yeah.
Come on, you know, I mean.
Feet high.
It looks like a beach after it rains, you know? It's crazy. Am I wrong, Jackson?
No, you're not wrong.
I
You're
mean,
not
it's
wrong.
absolutely terrible, you know? I mean, come on, let's put a little time and effort and take some pride in the area we live in, you know? Goodness. So that's really all I got. I just wanted to address the Chatham Park thing and the 40 acres, because,
Well, I think that's a big hole in the,
I mean,
in our assessment.
$500, it's $500, you know? At the end of the day, like, for me, it's 500, you know? 3,500, I'd be irate. I don't even understand that whole $3,500 deal. And then, you know, the fact of, you know, anybody that benefits from it, we take it into consideration. Backdalt Road, you know how many people don't go through Old Log Landing because they don't want to do this? All the
Yeah.
way back to their place?
Yeah.
They go up, hit that four-way, take a right, and go to their place really easy. So granted, it's a different street, but at the end of the day, it's, I think the decision on who got charged what wasn't really, I guess, taking time to really look through it, to who got what. Like I said, 41 acres of community center, that's the only one that's over 40 acres.
So it sounds like the main contention is the large lots.
The large lots and the multiple addresses on one piece that, I mean, if he's only getting $3,500, we're paying more than that at Carefree. And we have same similar lot, but we're paying twice as much. And they have, you know, 3 times the units. So, I mean, that's basically. Cars are older and heavier, they're harder. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I guess that's the only thing I was really just curious about. And like I said, it's the biggest thing that really caught my eye too. It's not so much the size of the acreage. It was the fact that you went up from 2,000 to 3,500 and stopped at the 20 plus. And again, ironically, it's the city that has the only piece of parcel that's over 41 or 40 acres. So why didn't we go 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40 and adjust it from there? You know, so that's just me.
Well,
Yeah, no worries. I just throw it out there.
Well, we gotta put this conversation for now. I'm not sure what we're gonna do with it. Are you expecting a motion at this meeting? Or?
you don't have to make a motion. You have the options to adopt.
Anyone else that wants to?
Yeah.
Well, it's 7 o'clock.
Well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, you can't cut anybody off if they want to make comments.
So if this goes through, what is the estimated when you gotta come up with the money?
You have to come up to the podium.
Yeah, come on up.
Thank you.
So he's asking when you have to come up with some
So,
Need his name and address.
yep.
Jim Cook, KLCH, 13939.
Just raise your right hand.
Daggett Pine Road.
So the city took the input today. They don't have to make a decision to adopt. They could take your information. They could talk about, does it make sense to do the secondary? Does it make sense to do the trailer park the way it is and stuff like that? When they do take the action to adopt a final assessment, you've got 30 days where you can pay it off interest-free, or you can pay it off, it'll come out of your property taxes over the time period and at the interest rate they determine.
Or you can pay it off next year and pay.
Yes, you could
one of
pay
the
it off
5%
next
or
year and
whatever.
stuff like that. But it can be paid over the period of time, immediately, or after a year or two.
Just a question, kind of weird, but if everybody in town paid for everybody's roads, wouldn't that level everything out a lot better? You know what I mean?
Put it on the taxes.
To put it on the taxes. I know it raises taxes, but
Well, the biggest thing is everybody's gonna wanna drive on the road. And why can we tell them they can't? So then we've gotta do 66 miles of road next year. And we're gonna have to get $30 million,
yeah,
right?
no. You pick the worst ones first and go ahead
But
and do it, I guess.
that's the wrong mentality. I mean,
Yep.
the worst ones are the ones that cost the most. They don't have any value. I mean, saving this stuff will let these roads last 20, 30, 40 years.
Yep.
Versus letting the stuff that is a cheap fix go bad. I mean,
Okay, so you get the,
we're trying to save the stuff that's good and extend the
Yep.
life of it. And then as people request, as the city has some need to get in there, then they can do the reconstruction ones. They cost way more than, the city, if they still have assessment policy, would be proposing way more than we're talking about here.
okay,
Uh,
thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
So how will we find out when it gets adopted? Comes out as a newsletter? We got to read the minutes?
We would send you a notice.
You will send a letter out like you did with the 2000?
Exactly. It'll tell you
All
what
right.
your final assessment is and yada, yada, yada.
Perfect, thank you.
I would assume that 30 days will start from when the letter goes out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, should we?
Okay, make your motion.
Make a motion to have further discussion at a separate time and to end the public hearing.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.